All right, we're looking at A64, and it's a worksheet on notes factoring mix. We're going to have A's greater than 1 on some of them and a GCF. So the first thing I need you to get in the habit of doing is looking for a GCF. We started with that. That was our first thing in factoring, was taking out a GCF. And then we got into grouping, and we got into factoring trinomials where A is 1. Then we got into the harder factoring where A wasn't 1, and now we're sort of doing a mix. So with this mix, I'm always going to look to see if there's a GCF, and there's not, because 1 doesn't have anything, there's nothing to take out. This one's the easier factoring. We're reverse foiling, and at this point, this should be the quick one for you. The reason I say it's easier, when A is 1, the factors of 63 should add up to 16. So I'll start with x times x for my first term. What are my options for 63?
7 and 9.
7 and 9, and I can stop there because what is 7 plus 9? It's 16. Now, if 7 and 9 didn't work, you have other options, right? 3 and 14. 2, oh no, 2 doesn't work. I lied. 3 times 14 doesn't work. What is it? 3 times what? No one wants to help me out? 21. Oh, I was going to say 21, and I went down to 14. Yeah, because 3 times 7. Okay. But this is the set that adds up, so plus 7 plus 9. So whenever I think about this, first, x squared. Outside 9x plus inside 7x adds up to 16. And last, there's my 63. For some of you, we've been talking about putting it in the calculator where you would take the 1 times 9 plus 1 times 7 and see that it adds up. Okay, number 2, not bad, again, because A is 1. All right, so what do we do here? 2 sets of parentheses. What should I put in first? N times N. Okay, now I'm using pen, but I'm going to move to pencil probably a little bit. I need factors to get negative 16. So tell me about that.
I said negative.
Okay, so if you do negative 8 and positive 2, it adds up to negative 6. So you told me to do what? 8 and negative 2. So it's the same idea. If I got the right number wrong sign, switch signs. Are there other numbers to add up to 6 or multiply to 16? Yeah, 4 and negative 4. So a positive 8 and negative 2, and the orders of this does not matter. Are we clear on that? When I multiply the outside, negative 2n and 8n, there's my outside and inside we always have to check for. Okay, now if you look at number 3, the first thing I try to do is take out a GCF, because if I can get rid of this 3 out front, it's a lot easier. Do 32 or 64 divide by 3? No, they don't divide by 3, because 6 plus 4 is 10. If the sum of the digits doesn't divide by 3, the number doesn't. But I could test in a calculator. I'm stuck with that. So this is one of the ones where we have to use our trial and error. I know that the only options for the 3 are what? 3 and 1. So 3n and 1n. Now, I need to pick some options. It's weird. I had all these pencils here, and now I'm down to 1. Isn't that odd how that happens?
Wait, does it matter if 3n goes in the first parenthesis?
It does not matter where the 3n goes, as long as you have it. I don't even know where that went. Okay, I found it. Okay, so you have your 3n times n, which is 3n squared. What numbers multiply to 64? 8 and 8. What else multiplies to 64? 16. Oh, I'm sorry. 16 and 4, you said what? 32 and 2, 1 and 64. Are we missing anything else? Okay. This is where you have to pick. Now, if I put in the plus 8 and the plus 8, all I did was I picked the first set. My first we know works. 3n times n is 3n squared. My last works 8 times 8. I'm always checking for the outer and the inner. So the outside multiplies to 24n, and the inside multiplies to 8n. What's that add up to?
32.
32n. What do I want it to add up to? Okay, so you got me the
right number and the wrong.
We have the right number and the wrong signs. Oh, so you guys actually do listen to me.
Flip the sign.
So that means that both of these need to be changed. So negative 24, negative 8 adds up to negative 32. Okay, now, if that didn't work, I would normally flip the numbers, but they're both 8s. Hey, If that didn't work, we would throw it out and tried 16 and 4, and then we would flip it because 3 is going to multiply by this number. All right, look at number 4. Is there a GCF here?
Nope.
Okay, so same deal. I'm going to draw my 2 sets of parentheses. What gives me 3n squared? A 1 and a 3. So a 3n and a 1n. What multiplies to give me 12? 4 and 3, I heard. Oops, I just wrote the other number. All right, so 4 and 3, 6 and 2, and?
1 and 12.
Okay. Now here's what I'm looking at. I'm going to multiply to get a positive number, but I need it to add up to negative. So instead of a plus plus, what am I going to use? A minus minus. Okay. I'm just picking the first thing you guys gave me, which was 4 and 3. Okay. I don't think it's going to work. So we know first works, 3n times n. We know that negative 4 times negative 3 is 12. I'm looking to check my outside and inside. Now, if you're using the box method, I can talk about that too, and that's fine. 3n times negative 3 is negative 9n. Negative 4 times n is negative 4n. Do I have the right total? No, and this is what I was talking about. For some people, it'd be quick. You put your box here, your lines. 3n times negative 3 is negative 9n. And so you can just type negative 9 in your calculator and negative 4, and you can see what it totals. Okay, normally you would flip your numbers, but let me show you what happens here when I flip these guys. If I flip the 3 and the 4, there was no GCF here, so these 3 shouldn't be paired up together. They shouldn't have anything in common. And if I didn't catch that, 3n times negative 4 is negative 12n, and negative 3 times n is negative 3n. Does that add up to 20? Okay, so wrong again, and now that we've tried the numbers, I'm going to throw them out and try the next set.
Right sign, wrong number.
No, wrong number. Switch the numbers.
Right sign.
Oh, right song, wrong numbers. I got you. Okay, here's the deal. I'm going to save us some time. You don't even have to write this. I should not put the 6 there and the 2 here. Do you see that 3 and 6 have a common factor of 3? So if I put that there, I am wasting my time. It's not going to work. This would be negative 6 and negative 6, which is negative 12. So I automatically would have skipped that and gone right to
1 and 12.
No, I'm going to 2 and 6. I have to flip them. And this is what works. See, if you skip something, you skip the one that works sometimes. So when I try a set of numbers, I need to flip them. 3 times negative 6 is negative 18n. And the inside is negative 2n, which adds up to
20n.
Well, negative 20n. So that's it. That's my factoring. Okay, so I'm going to give you a minute to look at number 5. First, is there a GCF? Nope. 4, 2, none of those numbers go in. When I'm looking for a GCF, I'm looking at the smallest number. Okay, so next, here's my issue. 4 is not a prime number. What are my options for 4? 2 and 2 or 1 and 4. Now, all these other ones were prime numbers, so I didn't have to try more than one set. I'm going to go with the 2n and the 2n. And how would you guys deal with the 21? What are your options for 21?
7 and 3.
7 and 3 or?
21 and 1.
Okay, so I need you to take a minute, plug it in, see if it works. All right, so I'm looking at this. I dropped in a 7 and a 3. I'm thinking you did that first. First and last work. And I know someone over there was helping to explain this to someone. When you think about FOIL, if I would FOIL this whole thing, that'd be 4n squared. I just don't normally take the time to do the whole thing because I know first works. Then I would do my outside, which is positive 6n. Then I multiply my inside, which is 14n. And then I multiply my last, which is positive 21. I knew the first and last would work because we built them that way. What I'm looking for is the outside and inside. So rather than me foiling the whole thing, I'm really always focused on these two and not rewriting everything. But you could rewrite it. Some people like using the box. And if you're using the box, you'd have your 2n here, your 7, your 2n here, your 3. So this is your 4n squared. We knew that would work. This is your 21. what you're checking are these 6n and this multiplication of 14n. And you can see I get the same numbers. They add up to 20. What did I want? 19. Now, normally I would flip these numbers. Why do I not have to flip the 7 and the 3? No, it's not that. These are double digits. So if I flip the 7 and the 3, does that change anything? No, I still have a 14. I still have a 6. So I'm going to throw out the 7 and 3 and try the 1 and 21. But you're telling me that doesn't work, right?
Correct.
So if I try the 1 and 21, that's changing my middle terms. Do you see that my first is still 4n squared and my last is still 21? But the outside is a positive what? 42n, and the inside is a 2n. So you said that was too big, and I agree with you. My outer and inner don't work. So now that I've tried the 2 and 2, what do I have to do? Go back and try the 4 and 1. We already did the 7 and 3. So we did 2 and 2 with both of these. I don't need any negative signs. So now I'm going back to the drawing board. I'm just going to erase this.
I like the way you think.
Back to the drawing board?
Yeah, that makes you sound like a
Architect.
scientist.
Oh, a scientist. I was thinking architect. So I'm going back and I'm trying a 4n and a 1n. Now, normally it's the split. I'm going to go back and start with the 7 and the 3, and I'm just plopping them in here. So I already know I got 4n squared. I know I got 21. The outside is 12n, and what's the inside? There's my 19. If that didn't work, I would flip the 3 and the 7, because 4 times 7 will be a different number. It's 28. Sure. Okay, next thing. Look at number 6. What's different about it?
It's just 2 digits.
It's only 2 digits. So,
There is a positive.
is there a GCF?
Yes.
6n, guys. Now, we talked about GCFs. You can sort of show that under each one, but you leave the GCF on the outside, and it's reverse distribution. 6n times n is 6n squared. 6n times 3 is negative 18n. Or if I divide, this divides out, I'm left with an n. This is negative 3. The n's cancel. That's all that one does. That's it.
Wow.
All right, flip it over.
Wait, can you go back to that one?
Absolutely.
So how did just the how did you know just to divide it?
Well, the first thing you always do when you look at any problem is try to find a GCF. So I looked at the smaller number 6 and I said, oh, 6 goes into 18 and they both have an n. So that's what I did, was I pulled that 6n from both of them. So I'm always looking for a GCF, but these other ones didn't have it. All right, so when he comes back, when I look at this, is there a GCF here? No GCF here, no GCF here. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes. You're going to try these problems. What are my options for 4?
2 and 2.
2 and 2 or 4 and 1. Okay, so put that down for both of them. 2 and 2 or 4 and 1. What are your options for negative 25? Negative 25. Negative 5 and 5 or negative 25 and 1. I need a negative sign and we can figure that out later. All right, then your next one. Same options, 2 and 2 or 4 and 1. What are your options for negative 8? Negative 8.
Negative 4 and 2.
Negative 4 and 2 or?
Negative 8 and 1.
Yeah, I wrote negative 1 and 8, but we could fix that easily. All right, I need you to take a couple minutes and try this, then we're going to hit the next couple. All right, looking at this one, I'm going to sort of just cheat a little bit and tell you it's not 2 times 2 to get that. So if you put that in, it's not going to work, but it's 4k and 1k, and you have 1 plus and 1 minus. Now, if I have to adjust my signs, that's a quick fix. But you would have tried the 2 and 2 and found out it didn't work. And what I'm talking about is you didn't get the right middle. So the outside here I'm getting is negative 20k. In the inside I got is positive 5k. What's that add up to? No, it's a negative 20. It's negative 15k. What did I want? Positive. So I'm just switching my signs.
The right numbers and the wrong sign. You switch the sign.
So whenever we look at this, I have a positive 20 and a negative 5K, and that's where I get my positive 15. Okay, next one. When you go to do this, I'll start again. Let's say I try the 2 and 2. There is no reason to even do this, and here's why. The 2 and 2 cannot be paired with anything that has a common. So if I put the 2m's here and I have to put in a 4 and a 2, it's never going to work because there's a common factor and there shouldn't be one. So I can throw out the 2's. And I'm going to try 4 and 1. Now, can I use the 4 and 2 here? So when we are looking at this, I can't use the 4 and 2 because there's a 4 here. When I go to do the 1 and 8, I'm going to use the 1 here, not the 8, and the 8 over here. So if you understand what I'm talking about, not having a common factor, it cuts down some of your tries. This outside is a positive 32m, and this inside is a negative 1m. There is my 31m. Okay, now, I had some people working ahead because they were done with these two, and they were making this harder than it was. Because they jumped in and said, okay, what are the factors of 18? 6 and 3, 9 and 2, 1 and 18. What are the factors of negative 20? Negative 2 and 10, negative 4 and 5, negative 1 and 20. So do you see that each of these has 3 factors? Before I worry about that, is there a GCF? What's the GCF? What has to go into 20?
Oh, 5.
I'm going to go with 2. Look, 18 is my smallest number, and 18 doesn't work, and 9 doesn't work for the 20. So 2 is my GCF. Now, if I divide everything by 2, you can show it like that. I would get 9p squared minus what? 27p minus 10. I just cut my work down. So I'll keep my 2, and I'm going to break this down into 2 sets. Instead of worrying about 18, I have 3 and 3 and what? 1 and 9. So I'm not doing anything new. I'm including my GCF with my factoring. We already did that. The difference is now I don't have a 1 out front. I have to work on this. What are my options for negative 10? Negative 2 and 5, negative 1 and 10. So I cut some of the work out of here. I'm going to try the double 3's, 3p and 3p. I know it works. The negative 2 and 5, I'm going to try it. So I know I got the first and last. I'm looking at the outer and the inner. Okay, the outside is what? Negative 15p, and the inside is negative 6. Does that add up to my negative 27?
Should it be plus 5?
Oh, you're right. I should have a positive 5 there. So that's even worse because it definitely adds up not to that, right? Good catch. Okay, so I would normally flip the 2 and 5, but they're both times 3. So I'm going to throw that out and try 1 and 10.
Which it has to be.
Actually, no, that's not true. Hold on. If that wouldn't work, instead of doing 3 and 3, I'd go back and do what?
1 and 9.
1 and 9, just like these were 4 and 1 instead of 2 and 2. But I'm going to try the 1 and the 10 first. All right, 3p times 10 is 30p. Negative 1 times 3p is negative 3p. Okay, what did I get? I got 27p. What should I get?
Negative 50.
I negative go back to here. So you told me to flip my signs. Okay, that's an easy fix. That's why I'm not worried about signs. So here's negative 30 and positive 3. There's my negative 27. All right, so before I get into a problem like number 10, 30 has a couple factors. Is there a GCF? 3. And I'm looking at the 21 and 30 and 99. They all divide by 3. So that's my first step. And you don't want to lose that 3. Show it right here. And then what's left? Divide everything by 3. 10n squared, okay. Minus 33n minus 7. Do you see by getting that 3 out of there, my numbers are smaller? They're easier to factor. And if I don't take it out, I'm going to work harder, and then I still have to remember to take that GCF out later. What are my options for 10? Okay, what are my options for negative 7? Okay, so I'm not worried about the sign. We see how easy that is to fix. It's the numbers. So you're going to try the 2n first and the 5n?
No.
And I'll just put it in the order you gave me for no rhyme or reason. I don't think it's going to work. Oh, I need one positive, right? I know it's not going to work because that's 14 and that's -5. Before I throw out the 7 and the 1, I'm going to do what? No, I'm not flipping the signs. Flip the wrong number, flip the number. So I'm looking at the outer and inner. Outside is 2n, inside is -35n. What do we get?
33n.
We got the number we needed, so I'm done with that. All right, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to try the bottom ones, but there's one thing I want to talk about. Is there a GCF? I was hoping for it, but there's not. Is there a GCF in number 12? 4 doesn't work, 2 doesn't work, so I'm stuck. When I go to factor these, I'm still doing that same thing. -2 and 4 or -1 and 8. What's different though, guys? No, the variable. So you're going to have a 2x and a 2x, or sorry, what am I doing? A 2x and a 5x. But instead of just having a -2 and 4 when I try it, I need to have it with the y. Now I said I'd give you a minute to try it, but let me help you out. If there's a 2 here, can I put the -2 or the 4 in that set? No, because they shouldn't have common factors. So I'm going to throw that out, and I'm going to try the 1 and the 8. Now I'll let you see if it works. If it does work, great. If it doesn't work, you might have to flip numbers or flip signs. So you have a couple minutes to work on both of these. Don't forget the extra variable that comes in as an xy in the middle. When I go to do this outside and inside, this is 16xy. See how the xy comes into play? When I multiply this, this is -5xy. This adds up to 11. What did I want? -11. So right number, wrong what? Sign. So flip my signs and let's see if it works out. So this would be -16 and +5, and that's my total. Okay, last one here. Your options are 2 and 2 or 4 and 1. And what are my options for 49? 7 and 7, 49 and 1, and that's it. Okay, I'm going to jump to it. You're going to use the 4 and the 1. And then you are going to use the double 7s. Now, normally I would have tried the 2s first, but we're running out of time. This has been a long practice of these. Does it work, guys? The outside is 28xy. The inside is 7xy. And I've got my number.